Hi, everyone.
Hello.
We are excited to be here tonight. You are watching How to Be a Badass with Crystal and Aaron. And tonight we are talking about 3 tips for setting goals that keep you motivated instead of discouraged. So there's a lot to unpack here, and we'll focus on 3 specific things. And for those of you who are just joining us or new to watching us, my name is Crystal Hines.
And I'm Erin Lenahan.
And we are the co-founders of TheKaliInstitute. We are a group practice that focuses on mental health and other healing in Broomfield, Colorado. And we love to work with high-achieving individuals and help align them with the best versions of themselves. And we specialize in EMDR therapy and other body-based treatments. So if you're interested in learning more, you can check out our website at TheKaliInstitute.com. And yeah, so we're going to dive into 3 tips for setting goals that keep you motivated instead of discouraged.
And so I wanted to pick this topic because I did a long trail race this weekend. And it was just outside my comfort zone. And so I trained for this race for the past year. And so in that process, a lot of life happens and a lot of things go on with setting goals. And so while I'll talk about running, because I often do, it is very applicable to all of life, because when we set long-term goals, things come up and there's ups and downs and there's things are all around. And so, but the thing is that when we can complete the goal, like at least for me now, that this doing something that I didn't think that I could necessarily do. And during the race, I wasn't sure. I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete it. Like that brings in a feeling, at least for me, of like a sweet spot of where like really grounded and feeling where I'm thriving in life. That's what that does for me. And so I am curious how that sits for all of you, and if you're able to tap into that, because I think that there is real power. And there's a confidence that is internal and feels powerful. And so, but along the way to achieve goals, there is so much that comes up with it. And so that's what we're going to talk about that.
I just want to brag on you for a minute, because I don't know if you said what race you just did, which is incredible. So Aaron just did a 100K trail run, which is like mind-blowing for me, and it's been really cool to see your kind of journey over the past year when you signed up for this race, and just the dedication and the ups and downs and your whole process.
And I was really supposed to do the race. I had signed up for it last year, and we had left our agency jobs, and I had and so I just didn't have the capacity to do the amount of training that I needed to do. And so then I set the goal that I would do it this summer. And so this goal has been 2 years in the making, and I've been physically training for it for the last year. And so it was a big thing to cross the finish line. So
it's huge.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So way to go, Aaron. So thanks for tuning in. We are talking about 3 tips for setting goals that keep you motivated instead of discouraged.
And so we're curious about like what are the goals that you have set that have scared you a little bit, and you've completed them, and they can be in any realm. So they can be physical, like or they can be with business, or they can be career, or your family, or maybe you gave birth without any sort of painkillers. I don't know if what are the epidurals? I don't give them birth. Medication, or whatever the things are. You gave birth in general, like those are, or day to day, you were being a mom or a dad. Like anything. What are the things that set goals that you have and that you completed them? Because that feels so good when it happens. And so the talk tonight is going to be about like what are the goals that are slightly scary, and then you complete them. And so they're exhilarating and they're full of doubt, right? They're exhilarating, exhausting. They fill you with life, but they're also full of doubt, right? And it makes us feel alive, but it also scares the shit out of us. And that is the sweet spot. Because when you do things that you think that you can't do, the power that empowered that comes only from that we can get internally, not externally from other people, is very, very, very powerful.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that.
Absolutely. So diving into our first tip, it is break it down.
And so For this is just one day at a time. So they often talk about one day at a time with a lot of things. And so when there is a lot to do, how can we break this down into small, tiny increments where they feel manageable? So that's like, this is one workout, this is one networking meeting, this is one presentation, this is one, whatever the thing is, it's just one thing at a time. Because oftentimes when we have especially long-term goals, they can feel like, holy shit, that's a year or 6 months or 2 years away, and how the hell are we going to do that?
How is it even possible? It feels so overwhelming.
Yes. And so it's super helpful to have if you can have a once a month, like Crystal and I have a once a month planning meeting about what we're doing. And then the rest of the time is spent on individual tasks so that we can get things done. Because if every day we think about the success, I would make myself crazy. And so
being able to go from what the big picture, what the end goal is, and walk backwards, break it down into steps.
Yes. What are the things? How do you do that?
This is really an interesting one for me, because I kind of realized this over the past few years, that one of my major strengths in life that has gotten me out of poverty, that's gotten me through traumas, that's gotten me through so much and up to a place where I want to be and keep going, is doing this exact thing of breaking things down into smaller, like tangible steps. Somehow I don't know how I learned this, but I've known this since I was a little kid. I think like 5 years old, I started understanding this. I don't know how I did. I feel really grateful to my 5-year-old self.
Let's brag on Crystal for a second here, people.
Like being able to see the big picture, what it is that I need, and walk back. So some specific examples. So today marks the 7-year anniversary of me moving to Denver from Florida, which was huge. That was a situation where I didn't have a ton of planning, which isn't my norm. I usually plan a lot. But I knew my end goal, I needed to get out of Florida. I needed to keep moving myself up. So that was one of the things. I was like, okay, well, I need to find a place to live. I need to sell my stuff. I need to pack. And I did this over the span of about 6 weeks. I graduated with my master's and then was like, I'm moving to Denver. And so I was just like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And then how am I going to get there? And so, that was a huge one.
And so curious about what you do to break things down. So some people do to-do lists. Some people have planning meetings. Some people work backwards, like Crystal. I'm a foundation person, so I will work from the bottom. Like, what do I need to do to build a foundation? And we build blocks. And so we're curious about the strategies that you use in order to break things down and achieve your goals. And so I think an important part of this is to plan things, but also to be flexible, because things happen and we can't anticipate everything. And so if you can be flexible, right, and move with things, but also have a plan to achieve whatever it is that your goal is.
Hugely important.
Hugely important. Right.
And some of the specifics with that is like having to-do list, having like your long-term goals, looking at that and then breaking it down to those pieces, and then even like a day-to-day, like okay, this is what I have for the week. What am I going to get done today?
Yes.
I can overdo it sometimes, but it works for me. So we'd love to hear what works for you guys. All right, so we are talking about 3 tips for setting goals that keep you motivated instead of discouraged. And our second tip is expect ups and downs and compartmentalize.
Right. And so I get into a trap of when I'm in a zone to achieve a goal, is that everything should go smoothly and no hiccups should happen or bumps in the road, which is never, ever, ever. That's never realistic, right? And so, and that things won't be difficult or shit won't go wrong or things won't come up and throw me off. And so we'll stick with the running theme. And so I think that with this, to expect ups and downs, and that if I miss a workout, that's okay. Or if I get sick and have to miss a presentation or whatever the thing is that, or you just need a day off and you don't work for that day and then you take a day off and then you make it up, right? Mm-hmm. The most important thing with this is consistency. And it's just so that, and they even talk about this like with dieting, right? So that you eat poorly in a meal and then the next meal you get back on the track and you eat greens or vegetables or whatever, and that it doesn't really matter that you went off track, but if you're consistently trying to do better, then that's what's the thing that matters. Thoughts about that?
I just think that is a really important lesson in life, is that there are going to be these ups and downs, and going back to what you said earlier about being flexible too, like that's part of it. We're not always going to be at the top of our game, and that's okay. And to be able to just recognize that and be with that and have some compassion for ourselves, like it's a wave. It goes up and down.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. That's part of it.
And so I want to read, hi Mo. So I want to read consistency. So Rich Roll is an ultra endurance athlete. And so he also has a podcast, super interesting if you're into health and nutrition and training and those kind of things. And so he writes this passage on consistency. And so I'm going to read this. So consistency beats intensity. Consistency beats volume. Consistency beats passion. Consistency dictates results. Consistency is what defines character. Purpose is key, but passion is overrated because fanaticism is unsustainable. In other words, it's not about an epic workout. Instead, it's about what you do daily. Because it's not anonymous micro actions undertaken regularly that dictate not just what you can achieve, but who you are as a human. The past is the past. And so I ask, what are you doing right now? Are your actions in alignment with the goals and core values? Are they congruent with the authentic person within you, the best version of who you would like to be? And if not, don't wait until the new year to adjust. Change is available to you in every moment of every day. And this is the best part. And he says, by the way, I say this to remind myself. Yes, it's good.
That's some powerful stuff.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and I love that he adds that at the end, because as you're reading this, you're like, oh, geez, that's a lot. But yeah, it's a reminder.
Yes, it's a good reminder. So just that we don't do things perfectly all the time or ever really, but we just keep on the train. Keep on keeping on.
Yes.
Right. And so the second part of this expect up and down is to compartmentalize. And so Crystal is a master at compartmentalizing. And so what does that mean? And so I think a lot of people mean when you talk about compartmentalizing, they think that you're just pushing things away and avoiding it. And it is that for the moment, right? And so we need to get stuff done. And so if I'm at work, I can't be worried about whatever has happened in traffic or whatever has happened at home, or that my dog went to the bathroom inside, or whatever the thing is, that I have to do my job. And so we compartmentalize and we put it away so that we can do our jobs, and then we come back to it. So that's the important part of that.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny. I am an expert at compartmentalizing.
Excellent expert. Yeah.
And it was not always the healthiest, because most of my life, I didn't come back to what it was.
Yes.
So when I put stuff away, I thought I was putting it away forever until, of course, it bubbles up. Right.
That's how it always
happens. It will come up eventually and hit you in the face.
Right.
So you might as well take some time to pay attention to it.
Right.
But yeah, there is that kind of downside of compartmentalizing. If we do that too much and we aren't coming back to it, then there can be issues. But,
and why is that okay to do?
Because there's a balance in feeling our feelings and then letting our feelings completely take us over and be in control, right? So it's important that we're able to just kind of recognize, be curious, accept what it is that's coming up, but don't allow it always to be in the driver's seat and take over, especially when you're in a situation like being at work or talking to someone or whatever it is. We can't always have our emotions being in the driver's seat.
And sometimes there's times when you can't help that. And so then you need to do something to take care of that. Yeah. But this is on the general.
Yes. And sometimes it's really good to let our emotions be in the driver's seat. That's how we move through it.
Yes.
And so we find the time and place that feels safe and appropriate where we can take care of that.
Right.
Yeah. But if our emotions are in charge all the time, then it's really hard to get things done.
Yes.
And it's going to be really hard to reach these goals.
Yeah.
So
yes. Good job bringing back around.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we got on that.
Cool. So we are diving into our third tip of pick a mantra or an anchor that pulls you back to the present moment.
And so I picked my mantra for the year was that I was going to have a strong center and fierce heart. And so
I love that.
You have to, so I picked that because it felt like that's what I needed. And that is how everything in my life up to this year, in this year up to this point, as I've had to show up, including for this race. And so before I went into this race, I was doing my meditation. And so that every time I would breathe into my center and I could feel that, then it would activate it like I'm okay and I got this every time. Like I can be strong in my center. So that when I was in the middle of the race and struggling because it was such a long distance, that I could activate that and I knew that I was okay. And all I needed to do was just put one foot in front of the other. And so I had that, but then I painted my nails yellow, right? So that this was a visual reminder so that I was struggling. And if I was looking down and saw my nails, then I knew that I needed to breathe in. I paint my nails before every race so that I have a physical anchor of like, oh man, I can't get up this hill. Or I don't think I can move my legs or get out of this chair at the aid station, that I can. And I look at my nails and then that helps me to remember to breathe. And so sometimes I need two things in order to do that. And that's how it goes.
Yeah. I love that.
Do you have anchors or mantras?
Yeah, there are some things that I'm doing currently, but the one that pops into my mind was actually when I got married this past October. There were a lot of different emotions that I was feeling. It's a complicated day full of all kinds of things. And so my wedding dress had pockets, which was the greatest thing ever. And so I had a stone that I got from my therapist's office, actually. And the stone was to remind me to stay grounded. And when it felt like my emotions were, taking over, or I needed a break, or I needed to feel secure, or whatever it was I needed, I had that stone in my pocket. And so just like holding it and feeling it helped to bring me back to my center and to feel okay.
Yeah. And when I got married 2 years ago, and so I would often just do this during it because I wanted to be able to stay as present as possible.
Yes.
And me being in contact, or if I get overwhelmed with anything, or sometimes I just do this, it helps me to stay present in the moment, and so I wonder for you all, what are the things that help you to stay present in the moment? And if you haven't thought about that, what are ideas that you have? Because it's important.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear what has worked for you.
Yes.
Or what you're curious about.
Yep.
Yeah. So
the final.
Oh
yeah. So the final side note of things is I'll post it in the comment section, but there's an article called The Post-Race Blues. And so you can use this for any goal that there is. And so when people spend so much time and effort and their whole life or part of their life is devoted to reaching whatever this goal is, then after the event has happened, or you did the presentation, or whatever the thing is, then there can be a sense of like, I don't know what there is, or I don't know what to do with my time, or what's next, or all the emotions that come up, because there's so much that comes before it and what happens after. And so there is an article that we'll post from Trail Runner magazine, but you can use it universally to other goals. So it just talks about the different sides of that.
Cool. Yeah, we'll post that and see what you guys think about that. Yeah. So that wraps up our chat tonight. Thank you for watching, and we're excited to see you all again next week.
Yeah, I will not be here because I'm on vacation.
Oh, yes. And I will most likely be here, but we'll see you again.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.